Nobody knows how many creatures are in this world, but albino animals are some of the rarest and most fascinating. These creatures, with their striking white fur, skin, or feathers, stand out in a way that's truly unique. From the wildest jungles to the deepest oceans, albino animals are proof of nature's surprises. Let's dive into the incredible world of albino animals and uncover their hidden beauty. Albino zebra. Ever imagine seeing a zebra without its iconic black stripes? Well, that's exactly what wildlife photographer Will Bird Lucas stumbled upon in Tanzania, a rare albino zebra that had no black markings at all. Albino zebras are so rare, they've only been spotted a handful of times worldwide. Without the usual pigmentation in their fur, skin, and eyes, they stand out like no other animal. Sadly, their uniqueness comes with a challenge. Experts believe they have shorter lifespans in the wild due to their inability to blend in with the environment, making them an easy target for predators. The world can't stop talking about this rare and beautiful creature. Albino koala. Koalas are already a beloved species, but imagine one without any color at all. That's what makes albino koalas so extraordinary. These rare creatures are born without pigmentation in their fur, skin, and eyes, making them completely white. But this lack of color isn't just unusual, it can be dangerous for the koala. Their vision can be compromised, which makes finding food and escaping predators a struggle. There have been only a few known albino koalas, one of the most famous being Gara, the world's only known albino koala, who lived in San Diego Zoo. Unfortunately, Gara passed away in 1992, but his story continues to inspire awe. White giraffe. Giraffes are already the tallest animals around, but have you ever seen one that looks like it belongs in a ghost story? In Kenya, a mother giraffe and her calf were spotted in 2017, and they were both completely white, albino giraffes. While the mother has since disappeared, the calf is still being closely monitored by wildlife conservationists. The rare color isn't the only standout feature. Albino giraffes also have blue eyes, unlike the typical brown or black eyes of their regular counterparts. With their striking appearance, they are truly one of nature's most mysterious wonders. Albino gorilla. Meet Snowflake, the world's one and only known albino gorilla. Born in Equatorial Guinea in 1964, Snowflake was captured as a baby and brought to the Barcelona Zoo, where he became a global sensation. Scientists later discovered that Snowflake's albinism was likely a result of inbreeding within his family. Despite his rare condition, Snowflake thrived in captivity, living to the age of 40, which is quite remarkable for a gorilla. His story left an unforgettable mark on the world of wildlife conservation. Albino boa constrictor. Picture this, a massive albino boa constrictor, pure white and massive at 9.5 feet long, weighing a whopping 53 pounds. That's exactly what one Florida homeowner discovered when they found this unusual snake in their house. Albino snakes are pretty rare and have a distinct white color instead of the usual brown and green hues. But what made this boa especially surprising was its obesity. The snake was so big it had an intimidating appearance. The homeowner quickly called a snake specialist who confirmed the snake's unique condition. And by the way, do you think a three-headed albino snake could exist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Albino alligator. Not every alligator gets to live long, but Gator George is one lucky survivor. His story is incredible because he's one of the few albino alligators alive today. These animals are usually doomed due to their inability to blend into their murky surroundings, making them easy targets for predators. Gator George, who calls Clyde's Reptile Land in Pennsylvania home, is an American alligator, a species that typically roams the southeastern US. But despite his rare color, Gator George has managed to thrive, becoming a symbol of hope for albino alligators everywhere. White panda. How rare do you think it is to spot an albino panda? In China's Sichuan province, one of the world's rarest creatures was recently seen, an albino panda. This panda, with its pink eyes and snow-white fur, was caught on camera in the Wang National Nature Reserve. This was only the second sighting of an albino panda in the wild. Just imagine the excitement. With albino pandas being so rare and endangered, this discovery gives researchers an incredible opportunity to learn more about their behavior and health, as they are among the most elusive and sought-after creatures in the world. The albino shark. Imagine the shock of catching a shark that looks like it belongs in a fantasy world. That's exactly what happened when fishermen off the coast of Great Britain reeled in an albino shark, an incredibly rare sight. With its lack of pigmentation, the shark stood out starkly against the ocean. Experts say albino sharks are 1 in every 10,000, making this a once-in-a-lifetime catch. But for this shark, blending in with its surroundings is nearly impossible, making it vulnerable to predators. Still, it's a beautiful, rare creature that gives us a glimpse into the wonders of nature's oddities. The albino owl. There's something haunting about an albino owl, especially one with glowing red eyes. This rare creature has fascinated people worldwide, and it's easy to see why. While albino owls can face challenges like poor camouflage and vulnerability to the sun, they have certain advantages too. With their intense gaze and rotating neck, they're natural hunters who can still thrive in the wild. Just picture it. Those red eyes staring at you as the owl silently watches from the shadows. Creepy or cool? You decide. The pearl stingray. In 2009, the world witnessed something truly incredible. The first ever albino stingray, known as the pearl stingray. Unlike the typical dark brown or gray stingray, this one was white and pink, standing out in a way that seemed almost magical. But albinism in stingrays comes with a twist. These rare creatures sometimes have physical abnormalities, like deformed or missing fins. These challenges can make hunting and mobility more difficult, but the pearl stingrays still proved how resilient nature can be. It was a beautiful reminder that sometimes rare creatures are more than just visually striking. They're survivors too. Coati bear. In the remote forests of British Columbia, there's a rare bear that captures the imagination like no other. It's called the coati bear, and while many people mistakenly think it's an albino bear, the truth is even more fascinating. The coati bear is actually a variant of the black bear, but it carries a recessive gene that gives it a stunning white or cream-colored coat. The indigenous people of the area hold these bears in high esteem, considering them sacred. Even though albino bears are incredibly rare, sightings have been reported in North America and Asia. Some of these albino bears have striking pink noses and eyes, which only adds to their mystique. But in British Columbia, it's the coati bear that's the true legend. Albino lions. Picture this, a lion with fur as white as snow, roaming the wilds of Africa. That's no ordinary lion you're seeing, but an albino lion, though it might be hard to tell apart from a white lion. White lions, which aren't albino, owe their unusual coloring to a recessive gene known as chinchilla. For centuries, these lions have sparked awe and fear in humans, woven into the fabric of African folklore and myth. But albino lions do exist too, and they're just as majestic and fierce as their golden cousins. With pale blue or green eyes, these lions are a rare sight in the wild, hunting large mammals like zebras and buffaloes. Their mysterious beauty continues to captivate and mystify all who encounter them. Albino kangaroos. On March 8, 2023, something extraordinary happened at the Panorama Wildlife Sanctuary in Australia. A group of albino kangaroos was spotted hopping and grazing in an enclosure dedicated to these rare creatures. These albino kangaroos are part of a special collection at the sanctuary, which houses a variety of albino animals. The owners, Anari Van Rooy and MC Smith, have dedicated their lives to breeding albino animals, and since 2012, they've managed to bring 9 albino kangaroos into the world, an incredibly rare achievement. These kangaroos are so rare that you won't find them anywhere else in the world, making their existence even more special. The albino raven. Imagine a creature so rare, it almost feels like a legend. That's what the last surviving albino raven seemed like. With feathers so pure white, it was often mistaken for a myth rather than a real bird. When this rare raven was found, it was just a tiny 2-month-old female, weak and unable to fly. Named Pearl, she was loved dearly by her caretaker, who noticed that her lack of melanin made her feathers unable to repel water, an unfortunate disadvantage for a bird that should be soaring through the skies. Despite her extraordinary appearance, Pearl's rare condition made survival difficult, and she wasn't expected to live long. But even in her short life, she was a reminder of nature's beautiful and tragic anomalies. Ghostly whale. Picture this. A wedding celebration on a whale-watching trip in 2023 off the coast of South Africa's Eastern Cape. Everything seemed normal until the boat captain, Lloyd Edwards, whispered, "A ghostly creature." As the guests watched in awe, a flash of white appeared amidst a pod of 200 dolphins. At first, no one knew what it was, but experts later confirmed it: an albino dolphin. Surprisingly, this rare creature wasn't in danger. Though its color set it apart, albino dolphins are not more vulnerable to predators. The pod of dolphins seemed unfazed by its unusual companion. A ghostly sight indeed, but one that turned this wedding trip into a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The majestic albino horse. Did you know albino horses are nothing short of stunning? Imagine a horse with a pure white coat, pink skin, and a mane and tail as white as snow. But here's the twist. Albino horses are rare. For a horse to be truly albino, it must inherit the albino gene from both parents, and they will have no markings or dark spots. Their eyes, pale blue, white, or even pink. Some folks confuse them with gray horses, but there's a key difference. Albino horses lack any trace of dark pigment. These majestic creatures are a wonder, though their rarity makes them even more mysterious. Daisy, the albino skunk. Imagine walking through a town in Indiana, and who do you spot? Daisy, the albino skunk. Unlike most skunks, Daisy is incredibly friendly, so friendly in fact that she's become a local celebrity. People pay to take photos with her at a local business, and she's known for her loving cuddles. Though her stunning white fur makes her stand out, it's her sweet nature that has captured the hearts of everyone in town. But don't forget, she's still a skunk at heart, and if she feels threatened, that infamous scent can still come out. Daisy's charm is undeniable, and she's a reminder that even the rarest creatures can be surprisingly lovable. Albino hummingbird. If you're lucky enough to see an albino hummingbird, consider yourself fortunate. These tiny creatures are mesmerizing, with pure white feathers and pink or red eyes. Their appearance is stunning, but their albinism comes with challenges. Without pigment, their feathers are delicate and prone to damage, especially during migration. Plus, their lack of camouflage makes them easy targets for predators. These hummingbirds are beautiful but short-lived, facing many obstacles in the wild. Still, if you spot one, you'll never forget the sight of this ethereal bird flitting through the air. White reindeer. There's something magical about white reindeer. Imagine walking through a forest and stumbling upon one of these rare creatures, an albino reindeer. Only about 1 in 20,000 reindeer are born with this trait. While a white reindeer may seem like a myth, it's very real, though incredibly rare. These creatures suffer from poor eyesight and have trouble with depth perception. In forests full of green and brown, they stand out, and often they're abandoned by their herds. Despite their beauty, the life of a white reindeer is tough, filled with challenges that make them even more mystical. Albino orca. What could be more terrifying to a shark than an orca? How about an albino orca? In a shocking sight off the coast of Southern California, a group of whale watchers spotted an albino orca swimming alongside 6 others. The creature, nicknamed Frosty by the tourists, was about 3 years old, an impressive feat for an albino animal. With its completely white skin, it stood out against the dark waters. While orcas are formidable hunters in their own right, this rare albino version had a mystique that made it both a marvel and a potential nightmare for any shark unlucky enough to cross its path. Albino hedgehog. Have you ever heard of an albino hedgehog? Believe it or not, for every 100,000 hedgehogs born, there's just one albino. In the UK alone, there are an estimated 100 albino hedgehogs living quietly. These creatures, often found curled up into a ball when they're scared or stressed, stand out because of their striking white spines and pink or red eyes. This happens because blood vessels show through the iris due to a lack of pigmentation. Take Miss Twinkle from North Yorkshire, for example. She's one of these rare wonders. Experts say that despite their unique look, albino hedgehogs don't face extra dangers in the wild. Miss Twinkle was even released to the wild, and another albino hedgehog found its way into the Jericho Animal Shelter shortly after. Talk about rare beauty. Albino spiders. Picture this, a tiny white spider hopping around in your garden. Sounds eerie, doesn't it? The albino zebra spider is one of these rare creatures found in the UK, and it's easy to spot with its ghostly white color. There's also the albino orb-weaving spider in North America with its beautiful white and yellow hues. But these albino spiders have a tough life. Without the typical camouflage, they're easy targets for predators, and their rare look might even make it harder for them to find a mate. Still, they don't pose a greater threat to us humans since they're non-venomous, just another oddity of nature's palette. Albino sloths. Imagine walking through the Amazon forest and suddenly spotting a ghostly sloth with bright blue eyes. In 2017, a tourist discovered just that, a rare albino sloth, often called the ghost of the forest. This sloth was different from the usual gray or brown sloths, sporting pale fur and bright blue eyes. Then there's Frosty, a female albino sloth rescued in Costa Rica in 2019. She was found in bad shape on the side of the road, but thankfully, she was brought to a rescue center and given a second chance at life. Albino sloths are incredibly rare, but they're as fascinating as they are adorable. The albino elephants. Elephants are magnificent creatures, but imagine one that's completely white. It's not just a story, there are real-life albino elephants. Take the famous albino elephant of Burma, captured in the late 1800s. This majestic creature became a symbol of power and luck, eventually finding its home at the royal palace in Thailand. Then there's Mahdi, an albino elephant born in Israel in 1991. Mahdi's survival, despite his genetic condition, was considered a miracle, and he lived for over 2 decades before passing away in 2018. These rare albino elephants have left their mark on history, standing as symbols of both wonder and mystery. Albino lobsters. It's hard to imagine a lobster without its deep blue or green shell, but albino lobsters exist, and they are absolutely stunning. These lobsters lack pigmentation, giving them a pale pink or white appearance. One of the most famous albino lobsters, named Lucky, was caught off the coast of Maine in 2017. Estimated to be around 10 years old, Lucky was donated to the Maine State Aquarium, where he became a popular attraction. Then there's Snowball, another albino lobster discovered in the North Sea in 2016. Snowball was unharmed and returned to the sea, proving that these rare creatures are just as resilient as they are beautiful. Albino bat. Bats are creatures of the night, usually blending in with the darkness. But what happens when you come across an albino bat? That's exactly what happened when Brian White spotted one in his garden. This rare sighting was the first in 30 years. Albino bats are incredibly hard to survive in the wild due to their lack of camouflage, making them easy targets for predators. However, albino bats aren't the only rare ones. Take the Honduran white bat, for example. Found in countries like Honduras and Costa Rica, this small, white bat is a sight to behold. Cute, harmless, and incredibly rare, it's a creature that's as fascinating as it is hard to spot. Snowdrop, the famous penguin. Imagine walking through Bristol Zoo Gardens in the UK and being greeted by a penguin so unique that it instantly catches your eye. That was Snowdrop, a king penguin born in 2002. She became a sensation, drawing crowds from all over the world. Sadly, Snowdrop's time with us was short-lived, passing away in 2004, but her legacy continues to live on. Albino Doberman. Have you ever seen a Doberman with an all-white coat? Well, that's what an albino Doberman looks like. These dogs have a fascinating yet controversial history. First bred in Germany in the late 1800s, Dobermans were originally guard dogs, but albino Dobermans, with their unusual coloring, have sparked debates due to potential health issues linked to breeding for their rare coat. Even though these dogs are not recognized by national breed registries, their distinctive look makes them a favorite for some dog enthusiasts. Albino snails. What if I told you that somewhere in the world, there are snails that are completely white? Albino snails exist, and they're not just any snails. They have specific needs that make them even more fascinating. Found in various species, like the giant African land snail, these albino creatures often need extra calcium to keep their shells from eroding. And that's not all. Some snails, like the Yadroquois species, have pink-tinted bodies and opaque white shells, making them a real wonder in the animal world. Albino raccoon. Imagine seeing a raccoon with fur as white as snow. That's the reality for a few lucky communities. Only about 1 in 750,000 raccoons is born albino, making them an extraordinary sight. In places like West Knoxville, Tennessee, albino raccoons have captured the public's attention, even earning the nickname white trash pandas. These rare animals are more vulnerable to health problems due to their lack of pigmentation, but some, like the albino raccoon named Ghost, have found their way to wildlife rehabilitation centers and eventually back into the wild. Albino peacock. And then there's the albino peacock, an incredibly rare creature that stands out with its pure white feathers and striking blue eyes. These albino peacocks are a variation of the Indian blue peacock, native to South Asia. While they're beautiful, they don't do well in the wild, as their lack of camouflage makes them easy prey. Some of them are kept as exotic pets, and when they mate with a regular peacock, their offspring can inherit this rare genetic trait, continuing the legacy of these magnificent birds. Albino Indian turtle. You won't believe what was just discovered in a village pond in Telangana, South India. A rare albino Indian flapshell turtle was found, making headlines for all the right reasons. This unusual turtle, with its distinct lack of melanin pigments, was handed over to a local conservation group, where it can receive special care. Unlike regular turtles, albino turtles are highly sensitive to sunlight because they don't have the protective pigmentation that most turtles have. This means they need a cool, dark environment with proper UVB lighting to thrive. The discovery of this rare creature is a reminder of how nature never stops surprising us. The elusive albino deer. Imagine seeing a deer that looks completely different from any you've ever known. That's exactly what happens when you encounter an albino white-tailed deer. With its white fur and pinkish-red eyes, this rare creature is a genetic marvel, and less than 0.1% of white-tailed deer are albino. One of the most famous albino deer herds can be found near the former Sika Army Depot in northern New York. Known for their pure white coats, these deer have become a protected species and are a popular attraction. It's a rare sight, but one that reminds us how truly unique nature can be. Albino tigers. It's hard to imagine a tiger that's not its usual orange and black. But albino Bengal tigers exist, and they're incredibly rare. There are only a handful of them left in the wild today. One of the most famous albino tigers in history was Moini, who was rescued in 1951 and became a star at the Alipore Zoological Gardens in India. Moini lived out her years there and became one of the most beautiful tigers ever to grace a zoo. Her preserved body is now on display at the National Zoological Park in New Delhi, a lasting legacy of this rare and mesmerizing creature. Albino humpback whale. Have you ever heard of a white whale? Well, Migaloo is just that. This rare albino humpback whale was first spotted off the coast of Australia in 1991 and has since become a legend. In fact, Migaloo's name means white fella in some Australian Aboriginal languages. There are only a few known albino humpback whales, making Migaloo incredibly special. In 2011, the whale made headlines again when it was believed he had fathered not one, but two albino humpback whale calves. It's fascinating to think that this majestic creature continues to surprise scientists and capture the imagination of people around the world. And that's a wrap on the amazing world of albino animals. Isn't nature incredible? If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more unbelievable discoveries. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.